Hello again, this is Carol King, the developer of Custom Home Builder Solutions, also known as CHS. This is a continuation of videos about getting the detail in behind your balance forwards that you set up on your chart of accounts when you convert to CHS. In this particular video, we will be talking about getting the detail of any monies received for jobs that are in progress at the time you convert over to CHS, or as of your balance forward date that you select on your chart of accounts. But let's go to Setup and Help, and let's look at the CHS setup steps for a minute. We've gone through all of these in other videos, and hopefully you've watched those videos, and we're at this point where we need to get this prior period information in about jobs in progress. And one of the things here is gather prior period data, which is something that has a help document. It's telling me that there's a search feature here, so I can click the search and find exactly what I'm looking for. And this just has a help document, which is just telling you the things that you should go gather for information to put in as prior period detail behind balance forwards. We've already gone over these various things about prior period job costs, accounts payable, balance forward, and accounts receivable, but we are going to be talking about preparing a detailed list of prior period job revenues that you have received that are in progress, and it's giving you a list of what you should just gather. This isn't about how to post the stuff, this is just preparing you to get that stuff gathered, and you can look at that document. Let's close that help. What we will be focusing on today is posting prior period deposits job revenues. So let's click to get the help on that, and it's telling me we have already put something in the search box up here, so that all you need to do is click the magnifying glass to get to the section that we're interested in here. So this says prior period revenues and how to post job revenues detail behind accounting balance forwards, but I'm going to open the help document here so that we could keep it open. Now, even though you may have posted a balance forward amount for revenues received for jobs on your chart of accounts, those revenues will not show up on job revenue reports unless the detail is posted on the deposits window, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit and why that is. Balances forward will show up in your accounting general ledgers and on financial statements and little trial balances for jobs, the accounting side, but job revenues reports are only based on entries made on the deposit window. To post prior period deposits detail, there is a special process that will make sure the detail does not interfere with accounting balances forward. In the setup document about gathering prior period data, it was suggested you prepare a detailed list, which I already showed you, and it shows where to post prior period deposits. But before we go anywhere else, I'm going to take you out to the chart of accounts where you put your balance forwards in. So let's just collapse that. Let's go to chart of accounts and click on the chart of accounts in that expanded menu. And what I'd like to show you real quickly is there's set control accounts when you're setting up your chart of accounts, and one of them is for a prior period cash account. Now, if you load the NAHB or the simpler chart of accounts, these will already be filled in for you, but if you created your own chart of accounts, you need to tell CHS which account you're going to use for a prior period cash account. It's like a clearing account that will always be zero, and if you click the question mark button, it will explain a little bit. You'll see it being used as we post our prior period job revenues. But I just want to make sure that you understand that you have told CHS where to post those when you're doing prior period. Make sure you have your control account set up. Now, generally, most builders that I've found are on a completed contract method of accounting, so when they receive money for jobs, they're actually putting them into some construction liability account that stays on your balance sheet, because it's kind of like if the job fails, you may have to give the money back. I think that's the general concept. It's sort of, think of this as like the work in progress money received. Now notice that this on the NAHB has 3 different accounts that you might be using for down payment, the contract deposits, change order monies, construction loans payable like interim draws. Well, now people might set those up who knows where on their chart of accounts if they're not in completed contract method. It's pretty impossible for CHS to ask, what all accounts are you using on your chart of accounts for job revenues, and to make you give a list of that. That would be too mind-blowing. So the way CHS tracks job revenue subsidiary reports to give to you, it doesn't care about what GL number you used. It looks for anything posted on the deposits window in CHS, the bank deposits window, with a job code and certain categories that you use when you're posting deposits that you'll see. And that's how it produces the subsidiary job revenue reports. So it's important, if you put a balance forward here, that you go onto the deposit window and post a prior period deposit, which is what we're going to do. Let's drill down. There's only one balance forward for any of these, and it's a contract deposits, which is probably a down payment. And apparently we only had one job that had some monies coming forward, some deposits coming forward, but you can keep adding new balance forward records to total up to what you have on your trial balance forward for this account. And you could have one for this job and for some other job, etc. But we have one for $5,000, and we know from all the stuff that we gathered that that was a down payment, and we've entered it as a balance forward for contract deposits for that job. But I'm going to go show you something over on Home Main Menu. If I go to the Active Jobs dashboard and I select that job that we're looking at, and I want to look at the job revenues for that job, you're going to see that down here it is telling you only records that have been posted on the deposit window and have been assigned deposit categories other than job cost credit, or deduction, or accounts receivable will be included in job revenues received. So if you look through this to see the job revenues, you do not see that $5,000 down payment. That's because we haven't entered that detail behind that balance forward yet, and that's what we'll be doing. So if you were handing a results report or various places where you can give reports of job revenues to your home buyers, they might be going, where is the down payment that I did? And it's not showing up here because CHS is not looking for everything in your chart of accounts. It's looking for everything from the deposit window. I hope that's not too confusing, but that's how we've had to do it. We do job costs the same way. We don't care what GL. When we do job cost, actual job cost database, that's only looking for records that have a job code and a cost code other than 0, and it doesn't care about what general ledger accounting account you use, because builders will use different GL accounts on their chart of accounts to post various job costs, so it's pretty impossible for CHS to know that part. For financial statement, it can show all of that. So I'd just like you to understand that concept and think about it for a little bit. Anyway, we did the chart of accounts and looked at it. So back on our document, it was telling us, let's collapse that we need to go to payers, deposits, receivables, and we need to go to bank deposits, and that then we need to look for add new prior period deposit. There's a little question mark button here, and again you'll see that help about prior period job revenues, and you'll see this video there just because. But anyway, we're going to add that. Now after you have put in the detail behind your balance forward, you probably won't ever be using this button again, and you'll be using the add new deposit window. This, if you use this, it will not let you put in a date after your balance forward date. If you use add new deposit, it will not let you put in a date on or before your balance forward date. This is where you enter new deposits, and those will be a little different than what is set up specially to handle prior period deposit. So let's click that. Notice that it knows we're doing a prior period deposit, and I'm going to select a payer here, which is Jack and Jill Brown. Now notice what happened as soon as I did that. A job came in, H11 River, and a department. And if I drill down on the job setup window, you can see that the department CH was assigned and that we've assigned this buyer or payer to this job. So CHS will look to see if the buyer is only associated with one job and conveniently drop in their job code for you, so that you don't have to select it. But if you need to, you can select it right here. But that got filled in let's play like their down payment was check number 1234. Maybe we don't even know that, so you do not have to put in a check number here. And I'm going to go ahead and do a brief description of J. Brown down payment. And then I'm jumping over to deposit category. Remember that list of job revenues that I showed you? It was grouping them by something called deposit categories, not job categories. And you can set up deposit categories, and please watch the videos about that. There's help about it. You're setting up just sort of some things in plain English instead of like contract deposits. They set up one called down payments and assigned a default GL to drop in for that. But in this case, since it's prior period, it will not go to this GL account, but we will get it into a deposit category called down payments by selecting down payments. I'll talk about that GL account here in a minute. So we're going to select down payments, but when you're normally posting a deposit, the next thing you'll see is the GL account number that you're putting it to. But behind the scenes, CHS is actually just going to put it into that 1090 prior period cash account and take it out. But notice what happens if I just put in today as the deposit date. It's saying the date entered for the deposit is after your balance forward date of 12/31/2001, so this deposit cannot be submitted as a prior period deposit. The balance forward date is set up on your chart of accounts. To enter a deposit that is not a prior period deposit, close this window and use the button to add a new deposit. So it knows. So we're going to use a date. Let's play like we got that down payment on 12/01/2001. And now we're not getting any message. It supplies the next up deposit ID number to just ID the deposit, but if you have some of your own system and want to use some numbers, you can. But normally you just let CHS supply the deposit ID number. So let's go ahead and submit this deposit. And it asks if I want to view the posted deposit records. And you can see over here the GL number it was assigned to. This particular record in your accounting database was 1090. And if I hover over it, it's the prior period cash account. And the cash account was 1090. So in other words, it went in and out and cleared that account out for us. So that's pretty interesting. If you go back to the chart of accounts and let's refresh and then look at construction liability contract deposits here, I'd like you to notice that it just has still that balance forward. There's nothing in here showing up as far as saying it was on the deposit window. But there is something on the deposit window in and out of the 1090 account, cash account. And if you look at that 1090 account and drill down on it, you see that it's 0. And you can see that we have an in and out entry for the deposit. It went into 1090, went out of 1090. There's J. Brown, the job code, and it will find it on the job revenues thing, but it takes it back out to clear it. So these are the two entries that were created by CHS when you did a prior period deposit. For some of you, that's probably too much information, but for accountants, I want you to understand that. Now let's go back to our jobs dashboard that we had open, and let's go to the job revenues database again. Now we have a deposit category showing up of down payment. If we did a report that we were wanting to send to our home buyer of everything that they had paid, we now have that amount in here, and it says GL number 1090, indicating it's a prior period deposit, basically, if you understand that part. So now we show them all of the revenues they've paid us. As I've said before in doing these videos, there's future stuff that I've entered doing demos, etc., so they're already showing up. When you're working on your balance forwards, there probably won't be all of that because you haven't really gotten started putting all that in yet. One last thing on the home main menu and on that bank deposits menu, if you go to look at deposit totals cash side because you're suddenly needing to delete that prior period entry, I'm going to use min max dates. This is a beginning date in our accounting books in the latest accounting record. I'm going to do 12/31/2001, can't type, and open a list of deposit totals cash side, which means they'll just be through that date. We've entered some other prior period cash account entries, but we see ours right here. You can drill down to view that journal entry if you were wanting to understand the in and out that we did to 1090 again. but also you can delete that. If you decide to go ahead and delete it, it will let you delete it. I could do OK and it would delete. And I did one earlier to get ready to do this because I'd already posted that, but it will put a record in your audit table, user confirmed deletion of deposit records, showing the detail of what I deleted earlier this morning before I decided to redo it for this demo. So that's how you delete or look at it or review various deposits that you have entered. I hope that helps you get your balance forwards and the detail behind your balance forwards so that that detail can show up on various job, revenue, subsidiary reports, and that you accomplished getting your detail behind your job cost reports. And thank you for watching.